This is a 2022 Nissan Frontier. This is my pickup truck. It's got about 1,200 miles on it, and this is going to be the most unbiased review you can find of this pickup truck. I didn't just go down to the dealership and borrow it for a couple of hours and try to drive it and let you know what I think. I've been driving this truck every day for like 2 months now, so follow along and we'll figure out what you need to know before you need to buy a small pickup truck. So obviously there's a ton of small trucks out right now and gas prices are through the roof. So you can't get those giant V8s, but you still need to haul some stuff. So this truck is competitive with the Toyota Tacoma, maybe even now the Ford Maverick. I actually ordered a Ford Maverick maybe 6 months ago and it's still not here. So I needed a truck right away to haul my chemicals for the car wash and help me with some stuff around the car dealership. And they actually had a bunch of Nissan Frontiers on the lot at my local Nissan dealer that my buddy owns. And that was really uncommon because right now dealerships have nothing. And I come from the days where Nissan vehicles sucked. They were the Altimas, the Sentras. They had those CVT transmissions that were just absolute garbage. They were throwaway vehicles. And most of these are actually built and assembled in Tennessee. And so you're almost getting more of an American truck driving this than you are a Dodge, a Ford, a Chevy. And so here's a couple reasons why I really like this truck. First things first is it's actually pretty simple. This is just an S model. I did have factory installed SV wheels, but it's actually pretty basic. It doesn't have a turbocharger. It has a normal automatic transmission. It has normal hydraulic power steering. A lot of the new trucks have nice and light electric steering, maybe some more stuff prone to failure. Still has the old school steering system. Obviously, no lane departure. It doesn't have, it actually does have a backup camera. It does have collision prevention, but that's coming pretty standard on every vehicle right now. But I really like this truck because it still feels like a truck. It doesn't feel like it's all teched out with things that you really don't care about. This is not going to be a video of me showing you all the cool little USB features and how to plug in your phone. If you want a truck, you don't care about that kind of stuff. You want to know, how does it work as a truck? How does it work as hauling? Obviously, it's not an F350 Super Duty, but actually gets around pretty good with about a 5,500 pound towing capacity, which is more than like the Ford Maverick. And I think it's just about the same as the Toyota Tundra, or I'm sorry, the Toyota Tacoma. So I'm learning that the reason why Nissan has so many of these pickup trucks available right now in comparison to Ford, Chevy, Dodge is because they're actually selling these trucks just the way they have them. And the big thing with this is I can't even get a bed liner for this truck yet. So I'm like kind of afraid to scratch it, but Nissan doesn't even offer one yet. And there's really not even any aftermarkets that offer that. But Nissan said, let's get these trucks on the market because people need them before we have all these stupid fancy accessories. So there's not much available for these. Obviously you can get floor mats and stuff like that, but something important to me was a bed liner, and I can't bring myself to paint a bed liner in this thing. So I'm just gonna have to be careful until then. I bought this truck without a trailer hitch on it. I had one installed. Nissan did have that, but it was a couple of weeks out for ordering that. So that was a piece of cake. And one cool thing, factory feature on these things, I like flinch every time because I'm used to like my old crappy truck that just slams down, but it does have the easy up, easy down tailgate, which is super nice. This is the smallest bed that you can get in these trucks. I'm kind of wishing I got the bed that was a touch bigger. Like I have a golf cart and I'd like to be able to like pull it in the back of my truck. It doesn't measure 4 feet between the humps, I don't believe. And that's tough when you're like trying to put lumber and stuff in. But I think you can get these in like a 6 foot. This is I believe the 5 foot bed or 5.5 foot bed. It's pretty small. It does come with the cool factory tie downs, which is really nice if you're hauling stuff. But maybe opt for the bed one size up. Sometimes you can't get picky with availability right now because you got to take what you can get. But make sure you're not paying over sticker price for stuff. These dealerships don't have to do it. Yeah, you have to pay the documentation fee and you have to pay your sales tax and all that good stuff. But don't fall for that stupid ceramic coating and the theft prevention and the tire and wheel package. You don't need any of that, and you don't have to pay over sticker price. It's ridiculous to do that. And if you're a dealer that's doing that, you should be ashamed of yourself. So just to point out a couple things on the exterior, I won't go crazy. Comes factory with LED lights, which is kind of cool, makes it look fancy, even though it's an S package. This truck is really well equipped for an S package. You'd expect to have like crank windows and ugly knobs and everything. It's actually pretty well equipped. Obviously these wheels are just the SV wheels. They are not the S wheels. Typical steel wheels is what it comes with, but these were a factory option. Does still have a keyless hole here, really basic mirrors, no fog lights. Your normal halogen lights you have to get, I think, the Pro 4X to get those fancy LEDs. You may be able to get those in the SV package. It does have the white emblem on the grille, which is red when you get the Pro 4X, which I don't really care for, but you know, it's minor details. 3.8 V6. If I'm not mistaken, it's a variation of the old Nissan 4.0 that they put in all these Frontiers. It's been great. Fuel mileage, it's what they advertise. I'm getting like 22 to 24, which is actually pretty good for a pickup truck. Gas prices are crazy. It has a big tank. It has I think an over 20-gallon tank, and it cost me on average here in Pennsylvania about $100 to fill this thing. So it's no fun, but pretty efficient. Like a lot of the new motors, they're pretty noisy. I don't see any indication on here that it's direct injected, but I have a suspicion it may be because it is fairly noisy, but that's the way it should be. But the do-it-yourself maintenance looks super easy. Belts right there, oil filters down there. So it doesn't seem very daunting to do any of the work on this truck yourself, including the battery, which is why I like it. They didn't overcomplicate it. So many of these manufacturers are overcomplicating everything. Simple, basic design. And I have a good feeling about this truck, about its resale value. If you look at these old Nissan Frontiers, 2020s, 2018s, all the way back to like 2006, they've been using that same body style for a long time, so they were well overdue for an upgrade. But those trucks hold their value like crazy, better than any other Nissan product on that line, and I think it's because how reliable these trucks are. So going back to it, this is actually an S package, so this is the most base model truck you can get, which is still really well equipped. It does have some fancy design in the cloth seats, but they're really basic, and I can tell they're probably going to stain. Another thing that it has is it does have the plug for your phone and the USB Type-C, which I'm not a big fan of because that's going to be outdated technology in a couple of years anyway, but it is what it is. In this big infotainment screen that has Apple CarPlay, I have an iPhone. I don't know if it has Android Auto, but I think it would be compatible with that. But regardless, really nice fancy screen. The backup camera screen resolution is not that great. Pretty basic, but it does its job. Old school knobs for the AC. It's all you need. They can't break. Plenty of charging ports and things like that. Buttons over here are pretty basic. It has a cargo lamp, has traction control. It actually has hill descent control. And it does have a trailer sway tow package button, which is super cool if you're going to be doing some towing. I just tow a small boat, so I really don't need that. It doesn't have anything for a trailer brake, but I'm sure if you wanted to hardwire one, you could. And another thing I mentioned before, this truck still has the old school power steering system with the power steering pump, unlike some of the new trucks with the electronic steering. Pros and cons to that, the steering feels very heavy, but it does feel very connected to the truck. A lot of these newer trucks, you can steer with your finger, which is cool, but it doesn't feel truck-like, and maybe might feel like you don't have as much control of the truck on the highway. Love the old school power steering, works great. Couple of things I don't like. The air conditioning, even on the lowest setting, I feel like it's just blowing my face off. Something I don't like. It is what it is. You can tell the truck is dirty. I've been driving this truck, so this is an honest review of things. So the big thing is these seats are definitely going to stain, and it's pretty low quality fabric. The air conditioning blows your face off. It is what it is. It does come factory equipped with cruise control and all your buttons here with voice activation and everything on the steering wheel. Coming into the truck here, I do have my factory window sticker. Here's the coolest part about this truck. A 2022 Frontier, it is an S crew cab. The total price is $34,235. I actually left the dealership paying only $33,500. I bought this truck under sticker price. It's June of 2022. There's dealers in Chevy, Ford, Dodge, Toyota charging $10,000 over sticker. So right now, Nissan actually has a good supply of trucks, and you're actually able to get a decent deal on these trucks. I have a 9-month-old daughter, and she is still rear-facing. So this is her base. It's just a basic Graco base. I don't have a ton of space here. Normal adults, plenty of room. I've had my dad, my brother back here. They tell me that it's actually pretty spacious. You've got things like cup holders and stuff. Getting a baby seat in here is tough. She is just about up against my seat, and I'm not very tall, so I'm in a pretty comfortable driving position at like 5'8", if I'm lucky. But if you were a big guy, or gal, you'd have a tough time putting your baby back here. So you might have to put him in the opposite side and move that seat up. But the way it is, it's pretty tight. But it does do what you have to do. It does have a nice normal headrest for mirrors and things like that. Push button start, which is pretty cool on every model here. Still the old school style twist knob for the 4-wheel drive. So we'll do a drive here, headed back to the shop. We'll bring you guys along so you can see what you're getting yourself into. Yeah, and so the infotainment screen is pretty good. I'm not sure how well you guys can see this. The push button works nice. It switches between the Apple CarPlay and everything pretty well. It's not super fancy. You can basically tell that all these new manufacturers just kind of like embed a tablet into the dash, and really all depends on how buggy that software is. It seems pretty good. It seems about on par with a Nissan vehicle. But I will comment, I drove a brand new Nissan Altima and it was way worse than this. This is significantly nicer. So don't let this speak for Nissan as a whole brand. I think they're way better for a pickup truck brand. And this is a really good infotainment system. The transmission is actually pretty good. It's the 8-speed transmission. It always feels like it's in the right gear. With every basic new vehicle, these transmissions are adaptive and they learn to how you drive and everything like that. And this one actually, for the first like 50 miles, 100 miles, it was, you know, kind of hanging up gears because that's what it's supposed to do till it learns how you drive. But actually, it's really comfortable. Low RPMs on the highway. Around town, it's in the gear that you need. It's not constantly shifting. Some of these new like 10-speed transmissions are just always shifting. The transmissions are so busy. This doesn't feel busy. It's actually pretty good. The one nice thing is this is a base model truck, and I already talked about how well this is equipped. It has automatic headlights, which my brother's 2019 CR-V base package doesn't have automatic headlights, which feels like a miss on their point, but that's actually pretty nice. We'll get on it now, doing 30 miles an hour if I just lay into it. Decent pickup. It's not neck breaking, but it really gets out to where it needs to go. So yeah, very happy with the power and the response. So this is rated at 310 horsepower and 280 torque. It's actually really impressive for a naturally aspirated 6-cylinder, and pretty good in its class in comparison to these 4-cylinder turbos that it's up against. And it feels very adequate for everyday driving and even for light towing. The one nice thing too in this truck is that the shifter's still basic. There's several manufacturers now that are totally overcomplicating the shifters. They look like giant control knobs, or they look like the turn signals. I used to work at the Mercedes dealership, and there was plenty of people, old ladies out there, that would like try to turn their wipers on and shove the car in neutral or something like that. This is basic, old school. Bump it over for the manual shift, back to drive, all the way up to park. Super basic. Park, reverse, neutral, drive. That's all you need. Don't overcomplicate it. Going through the infotainment system here is actually pretty good. There's some gimmicky things. Like I think this off-road calibration thing's kind of goofy. But it shows your trans temp, shows your battery voltage, shows your oil pressure, oil temperature, shows your trip computer, which is great. Average fuel economy, which I don't even like to look at that because it just breaks the bank. But I'm averaging 20.6 right now, just this drive. So that's not too bad. And you can look at your radio presets, your driving aids, your forward collision. This is not a fancy loaded up truck, so there's only some basic settings here. But overall, actually, nice color screen in the middle, nice color screen there, and it feels pretty well equipped for an S model truck. So, is this the best pickup truck? Does this rival the Toyota Tacoma? Does this rival the Ford Maverick, the Ford Ranger? It's tough to say. You'll have to be the judge, but I will say a couple great things. You're buying a truck with a great resale value. I was able to buy a truck not overpriced or overinflated in this market, which is big. I still get decent fuel economy. It's pretty good, pretty easy to work on. And it's got plenty of space and it's very comfortable. So is it the best truck? It might be.